promising medical research because we couldn't close a tax shelter for the most fortunate among us. Everyone's going to have to chip in. That's only fair.
College students need to be bonded for life to slavery. Scientists need to continue on with the government's work. 90% of all science is government funded.
People care most about. New jobs, higher wages,
government jobs,
and faster economic growth.
No economic growth.
Well, Washington has been absorbed in this debate
by the New World Order.
People across the country are asking,
what happened
can we do to help the father looking for work? What are we going to do for the single mom who's seen her hours cut back at the hospital? What are we going to do to make it easier for businesses to put up that now hiring sign? That's part of the reason that people are so frustrated with what's been going on in this town.
That and the Wall Street bailouts.
The economy's already had to absorb
the Wall Street bailouts, the Wall Street bailouts, Q1 and QT from Bernanke, $2 trillion in Q from Bernanke. Haven't done much for the economy at all. Maybe 0.5% growth. But what we can't control is your bank account.
That was in our hands.
That was baked into the cake.
It's pretty likely that the uncertainty surrounding the raising of the debt ceiling for both businesses
now that we got another $7 trillion
has been unsettling.
To take us to $21 trillion, America should be totally broke by 2020.
We could have avoided entirely. So, voters may have chosen divided government, but they sure didn't vote for dysfunctional government.
No, that just came baked into the cake.
They want us to get this
there is no divided government. There's only one government.
And while deficit reduction is part of that agenda,
raising taxes is the second part.
Growing the economy isn't just about cutting spending.
It's about taking over the world. Like Ron Paul says, the only revenue in America is the military revenue. Military might is your only revenue.
We're going to have to do more than that.
We're going to have to conquer some more dictators. Throw over the Middle East.
Congress gets back from recess,
we're going to another war.
Immediately take some steps.
Like go to another war?
Bipartisan, common sense steps.
Like attacking Iran? Maybe Israel attacks Iran?
Where businesses can hire.
Blame it on the Israelis.
Where folks have more money in their pockets to spend. Where people who are out of work can find good jobs. We need to begin by extending
like a TSA, groping people for gold coins.
In your paychecks next year. If you've got more money in your paycheck, you're more likely to spend it. And that means small businesses and medium-sized businesses and large businesses will all have more
always stating the obvious.
That means they'll
always
be in a
stating the
better
obvious.
position to hire. And while we're at it, we need to make sure that millions of workers who are still pounding the pavement looking for jobs to support their families are not denied needed unemployment benefits.
Right, because Bernanke is just printing the print price, so everyone should get.
Stop too many inventors and entrepreneurs from quickly turning new ideas into.
Because by the time hyperinflation catches up in 2020, it won't matter. We would have conquered the world, so it won't matter. Your money is worthless. We'll introduce the Mero currency
would allow our businesses to sell more products in countries
around the world.
South America, products that are stamped with the words "Made in America."
Yeah, whatever, dude. 20 years ago, maybe. Why did all our jobs go to communist Russia, Obama? When Wall Street crashed the housing subprime market, you mean? And build FEMA camps.
We have workers who need jobs and a country that needs rebuilding.
And we need a train station from Mexico to Canada to transport the FEMA campers.
While we're on the topic of infrastructure,
we need a train station.
In Congress right now,
oh, the train station.
Aviation industry,
aviation.
Airport construction projects
all
around the country.
To move, I got you. For the TSA to grow people for the gold coins trying to leave the country. Don't leave the country with your gold coins. TSA will shake you down.
Washington-inflicted wound on America, and Congress needs to break that impasse now. Hopefully before the Senate adjourns, so these folks can get back to work.
It's all about getting back to work, right, Obama? Every single policy that comes over your desk.
There's no reason for Congress not to send me those bills so I can sign them into law right away.
Before I lose the next election, we need to pass this fraud.
Both parties,
just like Bush signed off on the $7 billion fraud before his election.
This economy. It's not a Democratic responsibility or a Republican responsibility.
It's a new world order thing,
Our collective
bitches.
responsibility as Americans. And I'll be discussing additional ideas in the weeks ahead to help companies hire.
Man, you sure think a lot, Obama, you and your ideas.
So, we've seen in the past few days that Washington has the ability to focus when there's a time.
Wow, good job, man. Give yourself a high five.
Disaster.
Compromise.
It shouldn't take the risk of default.
Ooh, that was so cool. We were scared, though. You really had us going with that one.
This town to work together and do their jobs. Because there's already a quiet crisis going on in the lives of a lot of families.
Yo, you don't
in a lot
say.
of communities all across the country.
Oh, shit.
They're looking for work. They have been for a while.
They're being groped by the TSA at the airport.
Or fewer customers. Or they're just trying to make ends meet. That ought to compel Washington to cooperate. That
Come
ought
on,
to compel
DC.
Washington to compromise, and it ought
Play
to
along.
compel Washington to act. That ought to be enough to get all of us in this town to do the jobs we were sent here to do.
Yay. Pass the Kool-Aid. Pass the Kool-Aid.
Economy and put America back to work. That's
So
why
Halbert's
I'm
hiring,
looking forward to working with Congress to make it happen.
and Halbert's hiring, and McDonald's in Texas hiring. Thanks, Obama.
About a 10-minute statement for the president.
Oh, that was long, man. All off the
Talking about
teleprompter.
a balanced approach and immediately going to the next step in the process. That is tax reform. And
Tax reform? You mean tax fraud? Like health fraud? Like finance fraud?
But also saying that the
Taxing the corporations? No, he means taxing you people.
With the Senate taking the latest vote.
Warren Buffett doesn't pay any taxes.
Passing that legislation some 30 minutes ago, he calls that an important first
That was a
step.
slam.
On the business
Yes.
side, Colin McShane's with me. On the White House side, Wendell Goldar was with me. And Wendell, I want to start with you this time. There will not be a public signing of this legislation when the bill moves from the Senate down to the White House. What does that suggest?
Oh, I think we're just going to end the show right here
The
because
White House, when it is not